Is the Constitution set in stone? What about the Bill of Rights? Some people seem to think it is. Is it wrong to make changes to our Constitution? Hi, this is Chris, the amateur ethicist. Today I'm talking about our Constitution and a common-sense modern view on how to govern our people. On this channel, I talk about the crossroads between convenience and technology. If you're interested in that kind of thing, I hope you'll join me. Subscribe, hit the like button, and ring the bell icon and share this channel with your friends. Let's talk about this. First, I'm not a constitutional scholar. I've only read it a few times, and I'm still learning something new every time I read it. I haven't memorized it, and I would have to look up exactly which amendment refers to what circumstance. Again, I'm just your neighbor, trying to learn a little more about our Constitution in order to better myself. Second, if you're a citizen in the United States, you really should read the Constitution. It's not very long. If you can read a novel by Janet Evanovich or Stephen King, you can read the Constitution. I'll admit, the sentence structure is dry and archaic. For some of us, it's a little like reading Shakespeare. Without someone reading it aloud with proper tonal inflections, it can be difficult to infer meaning from these words. If you have trouble reading it, you can find any number of audio versions on YouTube, as well as discussions about what the various articles in the Constitution actually mean. Have a listen. After all, if you're going to play the citizen game, you'll play the game much better by knowing the rules. Moving on. The Constitution was adopted in 1788. The Bill of Rights, our first 10 amendments, were adopted 3 years later. Almost 20 more amendments have been proposed, but not all of them have been fully ratified. We'll talk about ratification of amendments another time because that's a whole other can of soup. For some people, talk of changing the Constitution comes across like heresy. It's almost as if some of us consider the Constitution sacred. Let me walk you through why this is a bad thing. We need to understand that the Constitution is not something to be venerated. It's not sacred. It's a document drawn up by humans as rules to live by for humans. At no time did the people who wrote it imply that the document was inspired by God. The framers felt so strongly about this that in the First Amendment, they clarified the concept of separation of church and state. So, what is the proper attitude toward the Constitution? We can hold the Constitution in respect. We can also honor the Constitution by following its rules and legally challenging them when appropriate. So let's look at this from an architectural design point of view. After months of deliberation amongst the delegates from all over the newly forming United States, Madison helped frame a set of rules for us to live by. After a few years, we realized that some things had been left out or weren't clearly presented in the original text of the Constitution. So we added 10 new amendments. Amendments are alterations, modifications, or revisions in the code. Think of it like modern computer coding. Recently, someone found a flaw in the Linux computer code for something called sudo, a key command for granting special privileges on a computer. Someone found a way to access sudo without a password, meaning anyone who knew the trick could make truly drastic changes to a computer's whole working environment with just a few keystrokes, even if they didn't own the computer. The Linux team found a solution to plug the security leak, and now sudo is once again properly secure. The code was amended, revised, modified. It was made better. That's what the Bill of Rights was in December of 1791. A group of flaws in our country's code had been identified and modified to make the Constitution better. But we didn't stop there. There have been numerous revisions to our Constitution. We have a total of 27 ratified amendments. Some of the amendments are for simple things, like changing what day we vote for a president. Others are for more controversial things, like whether or not to prohibit alcohol. One amendment had been made regarding congressional salaries way back in 1789, but hadn't been fully ratified until 1992, over 2 centuries later. Like computer code, we periodically revise our Constitution to make it better. We should also talk about what we mean by better. When we read the Constitution today, everyone of voting age gets an equal vote. But we all know it didn't start out that way. It's a hard subject, and for some of us, it's not just about history, it's about family. Some states allowed slavery. Slaves were counted as 3/5 of a person. And no, slaves didn't vote. And women couldn't own property, much less vote. There were huge ethical holes in our original Constitution. For these and so many other reasons, our Constitution had to change. So when people say, "We can't change the Constitution," you now know that, yes indeed, we can and we have. Amending the Constitution is our human attempt at making self-governance better. Because this is a human-made document, its architecture is not perfect. It's not sacred. It's something we are obligated to periodically revise. Computer coders have a slogan, fail forward. It means we make small revisions and see how they work. If they work well, we keep it. If they don't work well, we roll it back. Essentially, Amendment 18 was for prohibition of alcohol, and Amendment 21 was for rolling it back, because after 13 years, citizens hated prohibition. So we tried it, and then we reversed it. That's why even today, you can make beer or wine in your own home for your own consumption. Fun fact, did you know your state and your town probably have their own constitutions? I live in Georgia. Since 1732, Georgia has had 12 ruling documents, and 10 of those have been state constitutions. Georgia's current standing constitution was adopted in 1983 and has been amended numerous times since then. The town where I live has had at least 3 constitutions. Like our city and state constitutions, the United States are free to ratify a new constitution based on the original constitution if we so desire. While coding a new U.S. constitution is very unlikely, amending the existing one or ratifying a new one are tools that are available to our governing bodies at local, state, and federal levels. By design, the Constitution is difficult to amend. That's probably a good thing. Some people think of the Constitution metaphorically as a living document, continually evolving as our understanding of human nature and our place in the world evolve. Because it's a human creation, it's not perfect. That's why we need to continually amend it. If we stop amending the Constitution, it becomes a dead set of laws that doesn't move with the needs of its citizens. This is how a country dies. Yes, we need to respect and honor our Constitution, but we also need to keep it current. This is the heart of good governance. I have a few ideas on how I would amend the Constitution, but maybe that's for another day. I'm curious though. I'll bet I'm not the only one who's thought about this. Do you have ideas for changing our Constitution? How would you amend it? Why not leave some of your examples in the comments below? So that's what's going through my head today. I hope I got you thinking. I hope you learned something. If you have, please subscribe, hit the like button, and ring the bell icon so you won't miss any future videos. Visit my website and share this channel with your friends. Thanks for crossing the road with me today. This is Chris, the amateur ethicist, and I hope you'll see me in the next video.